Okay, two tricks about putting the electronics in. The first trick is to run the extension cord into the area where you're going to set up the booth and set up the booth around the extension cord. The cord is only about as thick as the feet are tall, so it can just slip in underneath the feet. But if you forget to do it, then you gotta kind of lift the photo booth and slide the cord under, and that's a pain. So if you do that, you'll save yourself some grief, even though I didn't put it in the video. Next trick, I kind of do it like this. Some people wind all the cords up. I just like to make life easy. So if you just kind of wrap them loosely, oh no, this wasn't a very good example. If you wrap them loosely, you see they don't get very tangled up. So you plug the power strip into the extension cord, obviously. By the way, I didn't send you an extension cord. You probably have one. And then here you have all the wires that we're going to be plugging in. We'll start with the camera. The camera comes with the power source already plugged in. Use the power source. Don't bother with the batteries. I know you think cameras are supposed to have batteries. Cameras with photo booth need power supplies. Batteries will work, but not very long, and then it'll start to act funny. So don't do it. Also, we tape the lens. That's so that we have the right focal length and that we have the right focus. Next one, you probably can't see it, but the lens needs to always be on manual focus. Your camera probably has tape mostly covering that up. But if you want to check, this switch right here should be all the way to the side. Make sure we didn't send it to you wrong. It's happened before. It doesn't usually happen. And then this dial on top needs to be set to M. Always on M, and just both of them are M. M for manual focus and M for the dial on top. Always set to M. Those are the only two things you got to set. Otherwise, you have the power supply coming out of here. What we're also going to do is plug in this cord. This is your basic camera to computer cord. It goes in the side. It's the only port it'll fit into, so you can't mess it up. So you put that there. The other one's going to go to the computer, which we don't have yet, obviously. Next one is coming from the flash. Now I'm going to make a whole separate video showing you the flash, because flash positioning is very important. But this one goes to the flash, and there's a hole on top of the, we call it a PC adapter, but it just basically goes into the port right there. Okay, so the camera has 3 wires coming from it. One to the flash, one to the power, and one to the computer. The trick with the camera is to put it into the hole and then back it up a little bit and then angle it down until you feel a little bit of tension. Bring the top one over so that you lock in that tension, and then bring the bottom one up. And then you know you've done it right because there should be space here between the handle and the panel. The camera is asymmetrical. If you let the handle touch the panel, it'll push the whole picture over to the right. Okay, this one, it's going to come together to you. So however you want to transport it, it's up to you, but obviously that makes a complete thing. And then this one was plugged into our power supply. So the camera has power, and the camera is now plugged into the flash. We'll go ahead and get the computer. Woo, time warp. Okay, we got a new computer, so I'm going to interrupt our regular scheduled programming, show you how to set that up. We'll set up the touchscreen first. You slide it into the space provided. I know I'd already set up the camera. It's easier if you set up the touchscreen before the camera. For obvious reasons, the cords will be hanging down. So what you're going to do first is you're going to do the left strap first, and it velcros to it, so that way you don't have to put your thumb in there and get your thumb trapped and make it less tight. So do both of them very, very tight. So there you go. The touch screen has 3 cords. First one should be obvious. It's the power cord. Plug the power cord in right there. Second one, also kind of obvious. It's the same kind of cord that you've plugged in just about every monitor you've ever had. Looks like that. It's blue. Guess what? The port is blue. So you plug it in here, like so. And then the port on the other side, also blue. Okay, next cord, the one you didn't expect, is for the touchscreen. It looks exactly like the printer cord. If you want to label both of these to keep them straight, that's fine. I'm pretty sure they're interchangeable, so it shouldn't be a problem. The square one goes into the touchscreen part right there. The other one goes into the computer. There are ports on this side, you see. They'll be marked P and C. P is for printer, and then C is for camera. The P is really the one that matters. So plug the printer into the same port every time. It's not super important, but there are some trouble you can run into if you don't. And it's so easy to do. Just plug it into the same port every time. Now, those of you who got the external monitor, you got a cord that looks like this. Now, people have actually called me because once you got the printer plugged in and the camera plugged in, people have said, hey, I'm out of ports. Well, guess what? We got super secret ports on the other side. There will be a door here. You open up the door. This is my computer, so I tore the door off. But you open up the door and there are 2 more ports. You can put both plugs in if you want to. You absolutely don't need to. So you can just plug one. You only need to plug this one. This one can just dangle. So if you just plug that one in, you're just fine. So then this would go up into the external monitor there. I will show it to you and I'll mention the cord again. On the other computer there were fewer USB ports. If you plug both these in, you have no ports left for the mouse and keyboard. Nobody uses a mouse and keyboard. You won't be able to see the screen and use the mouse and keyboard at the same time anyway because they have wires. So basically you're going to use the touch screen and the on-screen keyboard. Fair enough. Let me see if there's anything else I have to say about this. Put the computer onto the printer and it just stays right there. That's also where we can access it by removing the printer door and removing the photo booth sign, which would be right there. So pretty simple. I'll bring you back to the old video. This is the external monitor. It goes right here. Same thing. You pull the top one down and it stays put so that you can get a really tight seal on it. Now, there's no on switch for the monitor. 3 things about the monitor. There's no on switch, which is kind of weird. There's no power because it gets its power from the computer's power. And the cord has 2 plugs. Use this plug. The one with 2 hanging out of it. The one when you plug it in, one is dangling down. Not like that. Like this. So use the bottom one. That's the last port that is open. So you actually won't have an open USB port for the wireless keyboard and mouse. But guess what? You don't need the wireless keyboard and mouse. It's a touch screen. You have the keyboard on the touch screen. Some people like to use the wireless keyboard and mouse sometimes if they're making footers that are real intricate and they have a little bit more control with the mouse over the touch screen. Fine, if you want to do that, you're going to make the footers at home. So plug in the keyboard at home and then you don't even need to take the keyboard with you. You might want to take it with you just in case. Printer goes right here. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to slide this all the way up. Boom, until it runs into the panel, because then you're going to be able to connect on this side. On that side, you're going to be able to connect the tray. Okay, this is the cord that came with your printer, as well as this one. About as standard as can be. This is probably the same 2 cords that you have on every printer you've probably ever seen since USB. They plug into the only holes that match the plugs. You cannot mess it up. Okay, and then of course you plug it in the one that says P. This is the only one that matters. You always want to plug the printer into the same USB port every time, or else you'll have a headache. And then once you do plug it in, turn it on, and when the computer is on, and when the computer first recognizes the printer, it's going to finish installing some of its drivers. And at that point, you just restart it. So the first time you plug your printer in, turn it on, let the computer see it, and then restart the computer. And then move forward. Okay, this is the catcher that comes with the printer. There's also a metal one, but whatever. I like the plastic one. So it goes right in the pegs right there. Ta-da! Now to get that to fit, you gotta have the printer fronted all the way up to the panel. If you can see the top of the printer, that means this panel is upside down. This is the... It can go 2 ways. But if you do it that way, you can see the top of the printer. It doesn't look as cool. So, flip it around this way. And then put that on. And then another thing, and you'll do this, I do it, always take the catcher off before you pull this off, or else the catcher will fall on the floor and it could break. But once this comes off, then you can access the printer, and that's where you load all the paper and ribbon. And so you can change the paper during an event, close this up, put the panel back on, and then put the catcher back on. And then you're good to go. Then the only thing I haven't shown you is the LED lights. The random white cord that you got plugs into the LED lights. And by the way, when I set this up at events, I never undo this. We undo this cord to ship it across the country. But once you plug this cord in, you can pretty much leave it. So you got a round plug with a flat area. So you want to line up the 2 flat areas. And then once you plug it in, it's got a little, it's like a bottle cap. It twists on and it locks them together. Recently, some people have called me and said that the one you insert it into is oval and the one you insert is round. It's been gets a little squished during shipping. I don't know if it's the heat. It just started doing it. But all you got to do is kind of push on the wide ends and push the oval into a thing, and then you connect it, and then you'll never have to do it again. Some people have told me they've even had to get some pliers to push it. Well, you know, get some pliers, push it down, put it in, and you'll never have to do it again. So if you have trouble with that, just give me a call. Okay, once you start up Windows, if you're not familiar with Windows 8, it's going to take you to the screen with a bunch of boxes. You find the inventive icon is usually in that bottom corner there. That takes you to the desktop. This right here, Darkroom Booth, this is our software, so we're going to click on Darkroom Booth. Actually, let me show you a couple of things if you're not real familiar with this version of Windows. You swipe in from the side, and here you have a menu here. This is how you turn the computer on and off. You hit the power, and you can shut down or restart. That's here. So you go settings, and then you can shut down or restart or whatever. Another thing, to right click, which would be if you had a mouse, you could right click but without a mouse, you just press and hold until a box appears and you let go, and that brings up the menu, which is usually what right-clicking does. It brings up a menu, and then you can click open. Sometimes that's how I open things instead of trying to double tap, because it's hard to get the double tap down where you're hitting the same spot and it works as a double tap, and then you're waiting for it to open and then it doesn't open and you feel silly. So sometimes I just right-click it and then hit open. And then Darkroom opens, and then here you have all our settings. If you want to change the template, you can do it here. You have to go choose, and then that'll take you to a screen with a whole bunch of templates, and you can pick one, and then you can hit edit, and then you can go in and you can double tap what you want, and then you can change whatever it would say. Now we're hitting cancel, and then you hit save, and then so if you hit save, it'll take you here, and then you still got to hit choose again, and then that'll be your template. You can see there was strip templates and 4x6 templates. So this is your main page. This is where you can set whether you want it to email, send to the phone, which is like text messaging, post to Facebook. And Darkroom has really good videos on all of that you should check out. Not much to see on this screen except for this one. Click top right corner to exit. You really want that checked. You really want this. If it somehow defaults somehow, you want to make sure it says hit area to exit, click top right corner to exit. And then here where it says require operator PIN code to exit the booth mode, make sure that's unchecked, or else it'll ask for a PIN and you never put a PIN in. Sometimes it just becomes checked. I don't know if people do it, or who knows how it happens. This one is the screen. You can edit this and you can do the same thing. You can change all the elements. You can make buttons. This is a button they push for color, a button they push for black and white. So you have a lot of freedom and control there. And to get by these tabs, you just kind of hit the arrow. You can pull down, but it never seems to really work. I don't know. Darkroom's weird sometimes. So, but you can just keep tabbing over. External flash compensation, you always want that checked. You can only check that when the camera is actually plugged in. You don't have to worry about it. It'll probably stay checked. If you have problems with your live view, you might go to the live view tab and see what the problem is, and maybe that became unchecked somehow. This is the most important tab, so we'll go over it now. You can hit load settings. This one here is M, AE mode M. That's the only one that you set on the camera. We talked about that before. That's the dial at the top. So you want to make sure the dial at the top is M, and then here are the magic codes. M, 8.0, 1/160, 100, and then middle fine is not as important. White balance cloudy is not as important, but I recommend both of those. But this is a magic formula. M, 8.0, 1/160, 100. So if those get changed somehow, you know, just mess it all up, you should be able to hit load settings, and then boom, it goes back to where it was. But you have to have the dial on top to M in order to do that. So if you got the dial on top to M and then you hit load settings, you'll be just fine. Most of the tech calls that I have is some sort of problem with the image. I tell them to go straight to their camera tab, and we check these settings. And then if the settings are wrong, that causes all sorts of trouble. You might as well memorize them. 8.0, 1/160, 100. Deal. Let me first show you real quick. I don't have the printer plugged in right now. The hit area to exit. I don't know if you can even see my finger over here? You just tap the corner and you can exit. Start booth. There are no controls on the screen at all. You just hit the top corner to exit. Sometimes you don't get it right away. Sometimes it'll start. Let's see if I can get that going. It'll start the thing, but you just keep hitting. And even before it has a chance to take a picture, and certainly before it has a chance to take 4 pictures, you'll be